Welcome to the Wingman Show. My name is Drew Brown, and my wingman, my man, the number one guy I know, Dr. Paul Thompson. What's up, brother? Welcome to the Wingman Show, where we're floating like butterflies and stinging like bees. Rumble, you two badass jet pilots, rumble. Welcome to the Wingman Show. My name is Commander Drew Brown. That other badass jet pilot is my friend, my wingman, the guy who watches my six, Dr. Paul Thompson. How are you, brother Paul?
Hello, Commander Drew. It's good to talk to you today. I'm doing quite well. Feel good. Have not had my Wheaties, but I've had other stuff that has stimulated me this morning. No, I have other stuff that has stimulated me today.
Well, very good, very good. I hope you all fired up because this is a great show we got here. Let's start off with our quote. The capacity to learn is a gift. The ability to learn is a skill. The willingness to learn is a choice. And that's by Brian Herbert and Kevin J. Anderson. One more time. The capacity to learn is a gift. The ability to learn is a skill. The willingness to learn is a choice. And that choice is up to you. In other words, if you want to learn something, you have to make a choice and put some effort into it. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I agree, especially with that last part about being a choice. Yeah, you have to want to do this, and everything else where it really kind of works backwards. Once you work that, once you make the choice, you if you have average ability, normal ability, you can do that. And the extent to which you learn depends on what you put into it. But the first thing is to basically, what is it? Somebody said, wake up, show up, pay attention. It all goes
Yep,
together.
that's very good.
I heard that
Good.
somewhere. Heard that somewhere.
Well, the name of our show is How Dr. Paul Avoided Being Arrested as a Terrorist. He used common sense. All right, Dr. Paul, let's start off. You were gone this week. You and the Wingman Show's honorary wingman of the century, Albert Glenn, Captain Albert Glenn, you and him went on a trip to San Antonio for an aviation conference. Why don't you tell me a little bit about it?
Oh, well, have you ever heard of Randolph Air Force Base?
Yes.
Yeah. It's in San Antonio, Texas. About a half hour away from the city. A nice place. And it was a seminar for those interested in assisting the Air Force in producing Air Force pilots. That's what it was about. And we had an interesting little incident. You want me to tell you a little more?
Well, let me ask you this. Was it a good conference?
It was a good conference. It was very, very useful. We listened to a presentation by a general in charge of the program. And at the end of it, they allowed people to ask questions. And he spent about an hour answering questions on how this program was to be put in effect and how the civilian sector could help the U.S. Air Force.
Let me ask you this, Paul. Why is the title terrorist? Did something happen to you while you were there?
I guess I got in trouble. I was going to use a brand name, but my navigation system directed me to the wrong entrance. I went to the wrong entrance to the Air Force Base, and I was met by the guard. He said, "Well, this is the wrong entrance. What are you doing here?" I told him, "Oh, that entrance is down the road. It's another entrance about a third of a mile." He had my license. He looked at it. He said, "Well, just turn around here, and I'll give you your license back when you're leaving, and you can go down and make the turn."
So he held your license and told you to just go in and turn back around. He'd give you your license back, right?
Yeah. When I was driving out, yes, just circle around.
All right. And what happened?
Well, what happened was that I couldn't just turn around right there. There was a line of cars in front of me, about about five or six, and about 50 cars behind me, because this is a major entry point. So I saw if I went down about 10 yards or so, there was a little break and I would just turn around. So I did that. I went down and I turned around and I was headed back to him. But at that point, they got the signal. They thought I was just going to keep on going. I'd already turned around. Anyway, as I'm approaching him, just a few feet away, by that time, Uh, Lights light up, and his police car is behind me. Then there's a police car in front of me, and I think one came to the side. Hmm. Everything
You
stopped.
were surrounded by police.
Yes, yes, to get out as I was coming
All
back.
right.
So
What
I'm with
happened then?
police. Well, at that point, it was quiet, and then the loudspeaker said, "Driver, exit the vehicle." Okay, I exited the. This is also a bright, sunny day. It's a beautiful day, bright,
Uh huh.
nice temperature. So I exit the vehicle, and then a gentleman comes in front of me and says, "Turn around, turn around, put your hands where I can see them." Well, these. So I do that. That's situation. Standing, and all I hear is uh, the sound of engines of the engine of the car, and cars are passing us who are leaving, and some people are taking pictures.
So, Paul, are you telling me you were standing there with your hands up in the air like a criminal while you were standing next to the car listening to a loudspeaker?
Right. And I had my wallet in my right hand. He said, put the wallet on the ground. I put the wallet on the ground. Put your hands up where I could see him. Okay, fine. So I was there for a while. It's also good to be in good shape because I was in that position for quite a while. But in any case, right after it's getting quiet and they're on the radios talking, and then they took my license and then they called the passenger, Captain Albert Glenn, who did not deserve this. Passenger, get out of the car. He did the same thing. Turn around. Don't face me. Hands up. Now, then we had to do what I call the hokey pokey, not making light of it, but those like, okay, 2 steps left, 2 steps right, 2 steps back to me, 2 steps left. We both did that. We did the hokey pokey.
Let me ask you this, Paul. You were actually being treated like a terrorist or a criminal. Yet you are a very sophisticated and well-bred airline captain and Navy commander, and with you was the head of an entire aviation school, and they were treating you like terrorists. Why didn't you just say, "Hey, stop it"? You know who I am?
Do you know who I am? Yeah, they did because they had my license. And basically the guy came up that said, hey, look, we're just, well, obviously there's a miscommunication and we're just checking you out. So they were looking at the rent a car and look at our license. I go through the national crime database or whatever. And then after a while, I said, okay, if it's hard, you can put your hands on the hood of the car. So that took a while. So anyway, after it was sorted out, he said, okay, we see what the problem was. Long story short, you made a wrong turn and we'll escort you out. So we eventually got in our vehicles. A police car came in front of us. I followed him. There was one right behind us. And we went to the next gate, which was like about 200 yards away, made the right turn. He said, okay, we got to do a report. Oh boy. Now, fortunately, this was a big meeting and we left early. Uh, he said, then they phoned it in and said, no report. Just let them in. Because we were in the proper gate. They knew who we are. And the guy said, yeah, okay, Thompson and Glenn. Yeah, I see you right here. Yeah, the building is right over there. It was like about 100 yards from where we were like this. So we went to the meeting. The guys were there, very professional, very, very nice. And that was it.
So let me ask you this, Paul. The name of the show is how Dr. Paul avoided being arrested as a terrorist. He used common sense. Why are we saying you use common sense? Do you think this could have gone bad?
Oh, of course, it could have gone badly. Well, what if I didn't show my hand? What if I made a break for it? What if I did something stupid? You can't do this to me, and started fighting with them. That wouldn't have gone well. I mean, everybody's armed. They've got sidearms and they've got long guns. Or at least two of them. Two of them did, and they're there for security. Basically, they were doing their jobs. They were just doing the job. It was just that when I couldn't make the turn right away, he thought maybe I was just going to escape and run. But by the time I had just turned around a second later, the first guard had hit the panic button literally.
Paul, we hear a lot about us being fathers talking to our children, especially if you're a black father talking to a black child about how you should act with the police. But isn't it true that as a parent, you should teach your children to have common sense? When somebody has a badge and a gun and the ability to ruin your life, that you act respectful and you try to do the best you can to avoid all confrontations. Isn't that
Yeah,
true?
that's absolutely true, and that's what we did. You know, Albert Glenn didn't say anything. I didn't say anything crazy. I answered the questions, told him what we were doing, and I was, very. I think we were very, very well dressed, very the best well dressed senior citizen terrorist you'd ever seen. And
So I
they were splitting things out because it could have been a test, could have been a test of their system.
so I guess we can say that you used your common sense.
Yeah, common sense, no problem. And not only that, with all that, the whole thing took about 40 minutes. We still got to the conference and we had about 9 minutes to spare.
That's because, Dr. Paul, you always go early and you think about things that could happen. It happened and you still made it on time. All right, let's
Yes.
talk about some good news then. That was a great story, Paul. Let's talk about some great news. We have a real opioid problem in this country, and opioids are just like heroin. It's a painkiller that people get addicted to. Well, guess what, Paul? They have just invented a new non opioid painkiller for acute pain. It's called Jarvinex. And it actually doesn't get you high. It doesn't hit those dopamine receptors, so you're not high, stopping the pain. It just stops the pain. What do you think about that's great news, Paul?
It's a good thing because this is something that it's apparently very effective and most importantly, is non-addictive. It's non-addictive. And and it doesn't do something else opioids do. Opioids release a sense of dopamine and euphoria. Well, apparently this doesn't do that. It blocks the pain at the brain before it registers through the spinal column and all that signal stuff. It just blocks it. And recoveries are pretty good. They're still experimenting with it. It's not for everything, but it's a good option for many people, for many, many millions.
Right. This stuff doesn't allow actually the pain to get to the brain. It's more like Novocaine when you go to the dentist. It just
Yeah.
numbs the pain right there. Paul, my son Drew Jacques Brown IV is a doctor and he's a spine surgeon. And him and I talk a lot about his surgeries. And he says he is helping his patients avoid pain medications by teaching them how to handle the pain, how to handle the pre op, the post op. And he says he's doing a very good job of not giving his patients that much pain medicine, and they're doing fine.
And that's important. If you don't need it, don't take it. Last time I was in the hospital over a decade ago, I was in for quite a while actually. And I remember the surgeon when I was being dismissed, he said, "I have a question to ask you." I said, "What's that?" He said, "Why didn't you ask for the pain medicine?" I said, "Well, I thought I was getting it from it was in the IV." He said, "No, no, no. We don't give it to you unless you ask for it." So really, so maybe mentally, I wasn't that uncomfortable, but maybe mentally, I thought I was getting it, and I never asked for it.
It's all in the brain, Dr. Paul. It's all in the brain. I got a great one for you now. Both of us are getting older, but I call it time on planet. We get more time on planet every day. And as you get more time on planet, you got grandkids, retirement, senior discounts. But the biggest benefit is wisdom. So I want you and I to go through a couple of these sayings that other people said about getting old. And really, what they're saying is these are the things that they care less about as they get older. Let me give you the first one: other people's opinions about me. Paul, that is so true. The more time on planet I have, I could give two shits less about what people feel about me. How about you, Paul?
Yeah, that makes sense. I don't want to do anything that's untoward or negative. But if you just worry about other people all the time, you're kind of you're really wasting your life. There's another one I'd like to discuss with you. How about impressing other people as you get older? How important is that? I don't try to do that at all.
Well, when we were younger, we tried to impress everybody, whether it was girls or our bosses or our teachers to try to get ahead. Right now, as you get this more time on planet, I wish I knew all this a lot younger, but no, I do not try to impress people anymore. I'm impressed with myself. How about this one? This guy wrote, "So grateful I grew up without social media. I just want to be a good person. The rest is silliness." Paul, you and I are so blessed that we did not grow up with social media hanging on everything we did, everything we said. And we are not affected by social media at all because we don't really get into it other than putting out our stuff for the Wingman show.
I barely look at it. Some of it I don't understand, and I don't really want to understand. And with the social media, like your whole life is being recorded, and that can be a very bad thing. It's nice to be just unknown, in my opinion.
All right, what else?
Um, How about buying more stuff, getting clothes, and holding grudges? I'm thinking really clothes. I haven't bought clothes in years, and I think I look not the most fashionable, not the least fashionable, but I don't care about buying a lot of junk. I've given away a lot of clothes in the last couple of years.
You know, it's funny as you get older, and if you do well in life, you get to buy all the things that you really wanted to buy. And then you really find out that buying stuff does not make you happy. Like you said, arguing, holding grudges, stress. I don't, these people don't care about any of that. But buying more stuff, I'm trying to get rid of stuff right now.
Right.
How about having toxic people in my life? If they disturb my peace, they're gone. Then he writes this acronym IDGAF, if they're
Yeah.
related to me or not. Having toxic people around you. I don't have them anymore. They got to go for me. What about you, Paul?
Yeah, that shortens your life. That shortens your life and robs you of quality existence. If they're toxic, toxic is poison. You need to get rid of the poison. You need an antidote.
You got any others?
Oh, yeah, I'm thinking valuing the opinions of other people. Some opinions I do value, but it's not everybody on the street. You know, you got to basically after a while on planet, you call time on planet. You got to go for yourself. Everybody's going to have an opinion. Opinions are like eardrums. Everyone has one. I've kind of changed the
Except
phrase.
people didn't say eardrums, Paul.
No, I didn't. They said pituitary glands. How
Yes.
about
Well,
the
how
next
about
one?
this one?
Yeah.
I was very blessed to grow up with Muhammad Ali, so I never really cared much about celebrities. But this person says musicians, celebrities. I enjoy the people that they did like. They're dying off, leaving only the ones they have no idea about. This person said they just found out who the Kardashians were, and there was no big deal about finding out who they were. Yeah, celebrities never did do much for me, but right now, you know, it's not like all these celebrities that do bad things or do good things. You don't base your liking on them that like you know them. You don't know these people. You
Right.
should just enjoy their music or enjoy their sports, but they're not the end all that they appear to be on television.
Right. Yeah, they're playing a role, and some of them may be very nice, and some of them may be very not nice at all.
All right. Well, let's get real quick to this. This is a great health tip. Flossing your teeth at least once a week lowers your risk of stroke by 44%. 800,000 people will actually have a stroke this year. Do you floss your teeth at least once a week?
Oh, yeah, I'd say so. I should probably do it like 3 times a day, but at least once a day. I don't think once a week is enough, but if that's what they say, okay, they've done the study. I think you need to do it more than that. You know, if you got gum disease, years ago, my dentist said, you know, you need to floss more and even brush your gums to make them stronger because I like bleeding gums. That was 20 years ago. And you know, did you know about the connection between I guess dental health and heart disease?
Yes, yes. We studied that. I think we talked about it on a show.
Yeah, yeah, that was fascinating because the first time I heard the dentist talking about that, I thought they were just trying to get me to do something extra, and they made this was made up, but turned out to be true.
Very
Mm.
true. Well, everybody out there, thank you so much for watching the Wingman Show, for subscribing to the Wingman Show. Check out those badass jets we got behind me. Now, behind Dr. Paul, he has a Hornet, an F-18, and an F-4 Corsair, a F-4U, I believe, Corsair.
Yes, correct.
Yes, he has an F-4U. And behind me, I have my jets, A6 intruders, some badass jets. The only reason they made aircraft carriers. 500 miles an hour, 28 500-pound bombs, any weather, anytime. That's what I flew, the A6 intruder. Oh, and thank you so much for watching us on YouTube, Spotify, Instagram, listening to us on Apple Podcasts. We truly appreciate it. And we have a website. The website is wingmanshow.com. Wingmanshow.com. And once a week on that website, we put out a newsletter. And guess what the newsletter is this week? How to avoid further problems when being detained by the police, even if you are innocent. Also, on that website, we have something called our frequent flow line. And our frequent flow line is when you guys out there get to write us letters and ask us questions. And I got a good one for us today. It's from a woman, 58 years old, from Seaford, Delaware. Wow. I want to go back to school. I work and don't have much time to go back to a physical school. What is your opinion on these online degree programs? Keep on giving good vibes to the world. What about that, Paul? What do you think about these online degree programs?
I would tell the person who wrote us on the flow line, the most important thing to do is whatever program you choose, make sure it's an accredited program. That is very, very, very important. You don't want to put time and money into a degree or certification that is considered invalid. And that has happened. So, it's gotta be accredited by some accreditation institution. Usually they're kind of regional. You can find them, but that's the first thing. I think it's a great thing, and I've done some of it myself. You just have to have the discipline to stay with it. And with Zoom and things, they can have live classes. You don't have to be there all the time. Did that during COVID actually myself. They canceled classes. I was doing a writing certification program. Last two we did through Zoom. I prefer to be in person, but the Zoom worked out. The technology worked out. So I think it's a very good thing to do.
I agree with you. There are a lot of programs out there that are ripoffs, though. So what Paul said is really important. You have to be accredited by the college programs. I don't know the official name of it, but you have to be a college accredited program. And do not get ripped off. And the biggest thing is, I want to tell you, I'm very proud of you for wanting to further your education. That's the biggest thing. We were talking about the willingness for you to have the willingness to go back to school and further your education. I give you all the credit in the world. Very good. And that will bring us to a Wingman PSA. From the 11 facts in life on the fact number 5. If you want to make a decision, do this. Gather good information, prioritize it, and then make healthy choices. In order to make a decision, gather good information, prioritize it, and then make healthy choices. And if you notice, Paul, I said healthy choices, not good choices. You have to start making choices that are healthy, both physically, mentally, and spiritually for you. What do you think about that fact in life?
Yeah, I think that's part of common sense. Don't just do what feels right. Do things that are really good for you. Don't waste your time and your body, getting sick, getting ill, and just causing yourself problems and putting yourself back.
Very good. All right, let's give them the gouge then. And you know what the gouge is in the Navy? The gouge is shit you need to know, but people don't always tell you. Well, the gouge this week is if you're in America, you're going to start needing a real ID. You have to change your driver's license to a real ID. You want to tell them a little bit about that, Paul?
Yeah, I guess that's something that's been in the works for a number of years. It takes effect very, very soon, and you'll need that to travel nationally, internationally, particularly by air. You'll get it. I see it. I've got mine some time ago, and it's in the upper right hand corner of my driver's license. There's some special. There's a star that's there. I guess I think all states do it the same way. There's a special star, and if you got to get a passport, there'll be something special there. But I guess that's a way to tighten up security in the country.
Yes, and we'll show you the picture of the star if you're watching us on YouTube. And the way to get this is you have to go to your division of motor vehicles. You have to go there with certain information. You need to call them before you go to find out exactly what you need to bring. But that's where you get your real ID. Real quick, there are 5 smartphone features you can do in 5 minutes that are really extremely important. And to know how to do these, whether it's on the iOS system or the Android system, all you have to do is go to YouTube. They'll tell you this in a heartbeat. But one of those is store your medical information, your blood type, and all the basic medical things that you have in you. You can now put that in your phone. Did you know that, Paul?
Yeah, and I've done that. That's a good thing, and that literally takes less than 5 minutes. I checked it. We looked at the article. Actually, I'd done that some time ago. Yeah, very very worthwhile. Someone needs to get information, and you can't talk.
Very worthwhile. And also, you can actually do something to your phone where you can have a quick call to 911. Instead of dialing 911, there's an emergency button you can find on your phone on both Apples and Androids. Once again, go to YouTube, don't you think?
Yes, yes, yeah. Use YouTube University help, especially those things. Those videos are like a minute or less.
And this is a good one also. Alert emergency contacts. Like you need to put in your emergency contacts, people who need to know about you. God forbid if something happens, they will automatically call these people to let them know where you are and how you're doing.
Yeah, I saw in the Apple phone. I think it's got the new one's got the ability to look at accelerations and tell if you're in a car accident and something. And
That's
uh,
correct.
you should
And
call
they
it.
will actually call the police and call these emergency contacts.
Right.
The other one is reduce driving distractions. So there's something that you can put on your phone, and maybe you've seen it when you tried to call somebody, but it's a do not disturb thing. And so while you're driving, your phone doesn't ring. You can't be playing with TikTok. You can't do all these things because a lot of people die playing with their phones in their car.
Yes, yes.
And the last one is keeping your smartphone secure. So they have a thing, Find My iPhone on Apple, that you can actually find your phone no matter where you leave it. And I'm sure you can do that on Android. Well, the name of our show is called The Wingman Show, and the reason is that we always highlight people who look after other people. A wingman is somebody who flies behind you, watching your six, making sure nobody sneaks up behind you and hurts you. Well, we got a great wingman this week. Dr. Paul, will you please tell us about our wingman?
Yes, our wingman this week is a great wingman. I don't know if you've ever heard the name Barrington Irving. I've heard about this young man a long time ago. In 2007, he was the youngest person to actually fly solo around the world. And he has a really inspiring story. He accidentally, I would say accidentally, he got into aviation by through his association with the United Airlines captain. And he approached him. Someone asked him, have you ever thought about flying? And he said, no, I don't think I'm smart enough to fly. And the captain, convinced him that he actually was. And that sparked his interest in aviation. Long story short, he apparently was a pretty good football player and had a scholarship to play football in college. He turned down that scholarship and pursued his interest in aviation. Ended up flying around the world by himself in a small Columbia 400 airplanes, a Cessna, an airplane with no radar, no de-icing, as he said, and he didn't have much experience. The interesting thing is the extent to which he raised money. He raised money for this trip. He said he didn't have $30 in his pocket, but through hustle and grit, he got people to donate money for him to make this trek across a lot of countries. But what's most impressive about him is what he's done afterwards. In 2012, I think it was, he set up his own foundation that teaches STEM. He calls it the flying
Yeah.
classroom, and he beams down lessons to students in school it integrates aviation with their basic studies. And he had in part of his organization, which is really, really impressive, his students actually build an airplane. They make their own home built airplane. And I think they build cars too. But they build an airplane. And his deal the first time they did it, he said, if you guys build the airplane, I'll actually fly it. And he did. And he talked about where a lot of these kids came from. They were not uh, the most advantaged people in the world. That part of Miami, Florida, Apalaka, Florida. And he developed programs specifically for people who are not exposed to give them exposure so they'd have careers in aviation. In November of 2024, not long ago, he started something called the BITS, Barrington Irving Technical Training School. And that technical training school brings local area people, different ages, into a training program that's free for them. It's funded by the city and by some companies, aviation companies nearby. After these people graduate the programs, they do well enough, they can get employment. And you're moving people from poverty almost right into the middle class. And this is something this young man started. He's not as young now. What he did at 23, he's doing a lot more as a 40-year-old or in his 40s. I've seen him on the National Geographic. I've also saw him on a show people familiar with called The Breakfast Club. Excellent interview. That's an excellent interview. They asked a lot of great questions, but he's very, very impressive. And this is the kind of thing we need to hear more of. Barrington Irving is our wingman. Look at his foundation, Barrington Irving Technical Training School. He's got his own training school, and he's still a young man.
He's a great wingman. And what I really like about him is that he pushes STEM. You mentioned it. And for people who don't know what STEM is, it's science, technology, engineering, and math. And if you have a child in school or you're looking to do something in school, you need to go towards STEM. Science, technology, engineering, and math. That's what will get you ahead in today's economy. That's what will get you ahead in today's technology. Okay, everybody out there, if you can hear my voice, whatever you think is important, whatever you think is beautiful, and especially whatever makes you happy, may you have that today and forever. I pray for peace.
And I pray for peace too, Commander Drew. And we appreciate all those who listen, like, and share our message. Please give us a like, a thumbs up. It helps the algorithm and it helps us spread this message to more people. The world needs some good news, and you can help us out as we try to help you out. Thank you very much.
Thank you once again, Dr. Paul Thompson, my friend. Thank you for your love, your time, and that's something that we won't ever get back. I want to thank all the listeners, too. Thank you so much for doing the show, Dr. Paul. We're jamming.
Well, thank you, Mr. Drew, for inviting me on. Always good to talk to you. And ladies and gentlemen, please remember to like, share, and subscribe to this podcast or any of the podcasts. If you're looking at YouTube, they say smash the like button. Don't smash it. Just press it gently and refer to use as a link to all your friends. You can also look at us on our website, wingmenshow.com, WINGMEN show, SHOW.com, altogether, wingmenshow.com. And we hope to see you in the future. Thanks again, Mr. Drew.
Oh, you're welcome. And we're still floating like butterflies and stinging like bees. Rumble, you badass jet pilots, rumble. May there be peace on earth, and goodwill towards all men and women.